Dear students, today we are going to discuss another important question that you can expect in your final examination. So this is a sure question. You have to prepare the appreciation of a poem. But the difficult part of that question is that the poem given in the question paper will be an unseen poem. You don't have any clear idea about the poem that you find in the question paper. So you will be asked to prepare an appreciation of an unseen poem. When you prepare a critical appreciation of a poem, you have to focus on some important areas. The first thing, you have to write about the author. But in the examination hall, you may not be able to find enough details about the author. The name of the author will be there in the question paper, but the details will not be there. So the one expression that you can use there is just to write the name of the author. The poem is written by so and so. Now you have to think about another important area. You have to write about the title of the poem. It's very important. Just think about the poem Any Woman. So let us examine how to prepare an appreciation with the help of that poem Any Woman. Just think about the title Any Woman. She can be any woman in the society, in the family. But here we take her as the mother in the family because a mother plays a vital role in the family, in the society. Now we have to think about the meaning of the poem, the theme of the poem. For that, you have to go through the text, go through the lines 3 or 4 times to have a clear idea about the meaning of the various stanzas in the poem, the meaning of the lines, the meaning of the poem. So in the examination hall, you have to go through it 3 or 4 times quickly and try to get the meaning of the poem. So the next important area is you have to think about the meaning, you have to think about the theme of the poem. Just think about the poem Any Woman. Just consider the poem Any Woman. We all know the theme of the poem is the self-effacing and all-embracing love of a mother. Similarly, each and every poem has a particular theme. Every poem, every creative work, every literary work revolves around the central idea, and that central idea is called theme. Then we have to write about the language of the work, whether it is simple, whether it is prosaic, whether it is ornamental, flowery, etc. You can also mention the prominent figures of speech used by the author, the prominent poetic devices and poetic techniques. When we examine the poem Any Woman, we find so many exquisite metaphors. The entire poem revolves around that central metaphor of a house, and there are so many other beautiful metaphors like keystone, pillar, fire upon the hearth, light of the good sun. So many exquisite, delicate and beautiful metaphors can be seen throughout the poem. Apart from metaphors, we can also find poetic devices or figures of speech like word order inversion or anastrophe, anaphora, allusion, alliteration. I am the light of love, example of alliteration. And we can also find a poetic technique called enjambment. One line runs into the next line without any pause, without any full stop, without any comma. So now we have gone through the various figures of speech, poetic techniques used in the poem Any Woman. Similarly, you have to try your level best to find out the major figures of speech used in the poem. So it is practically impossible for you to find out all the figures of speech used in the poem, especially when you are sitting in the examination hall, when you are writing the exam. But the most prominent ones can be easily noticed, like alliteration, like simile, like metaphor. All these prominent figures of speech which can easily be noticed should definitely be mentioned in your appreciation. Another important aspect that you have to mention in your appreciation, critical appreciation, is that you have to mention the rhyme scheme of the poem. But in these days, so many poems do not have any rhyme scheme. So many poems are prose poems, or some of these poems can be considered as free verse. FRE, free verse, VERSE. That means a poem without any specific rhyme pattern. Most of the modern poems are free verses or prose poems. And it is very easy for you to identify the rhyme scheme of a particular poem. We should also think about intertextuality. A text may have certain references to other texts. So the figure of speech used there is allusion. In the poem Any Woman, you find a beautiful allusion, reference to Jesus Christ and his mother Mary, Virgin Mary. So intertextuality is another area, another important idea that you can incorporate in your appreciation. Then when you prepare the appreciation, certain lines strike you. Certain lines draw your attention to the poem. Just think about those lines, and in your appreciation you have to quote your favorite lines and explain those lines. That is another feature, another important point that you can incorporate in your appreciation. Then you have to write about the message of the poem. So think about the message of the poem Any Woman. Women perform various chores. Women perform various household chores, but they do not get enough recognition in the family as well as in the society. So we have to love women, we have to respect them, we have to acknowledge their work, etc. Women should have equal status in the society. Women should have equal status in the family. So that is another important aspect that you have to think about when you prepare an appreciation. Think about the message of the poem, if that poem has a beautiful message to communicate to the people, to the public, to the readers. Another important area that you have to focus on is your impressions when you go through a particular work. What are your feelings? What are the impressions that you experience, that you have? The impressions that you have when you go through a particular work. Any Woman, what are the impressions? We all know that women suffer a lot. When we go through that work, the readers may have that impression. The impression is that women suffer a lot. They need support from others. They need encouraging words from others. Their work should be appreciated. Their sacrifice should be acknowledged. They sacrifice everything for others in the family as well as in the society. I have already mentioned that particular expression. In the meantime, they forget to live their lives. So just think about the suffering of the women folk in our family, in our society. So your impressions, that is very important part. You have to give a greater importance to that particular area. When you prepare an appreciation of a poem, appreciation of a literary work, appreciation of a short story or a novel, we have to give much importance to our impressions. If we write an appreciation of a work, again you have to focus on the title, the author, the theme or the meaning of the story or the novel, a brief summary of that work, the message, if there is any message to mankind, to the people in the society, to the society, if there is a message to the society. Another important area that we have to focus on if we prepare an appreciation of a short story or a novel is characterization. The main characters in the story or novel should also be included. Their personality traits, character traits should also be mentioned in your appreciation. So, the various points that we have to keep in our view when we prepare an appreciation, we have to keep in our view the author, the title, the theme, the meaning of the poem or the work, language, figures of speech used, poetic techniques, intertextuality, message, your impressions, and if it is a short story or a novel, you have to focus on some other areas like, you have to deal with some other areas like characterization, a brief summary of the work, etc. So here I have tried to explain the important features of an appreciation with the help of that poem, Any Woman by Catherine Tynan, a poem that you have recently learnt. So this is a very important question, a very important topic, because you can definitely expect a question in your final examination related to this topic. Prepare an appreciation of an unseen poem. Prepare an appreciation, a critical appreciation of a poem in your question paper. A very important question. Just keep all these points in your view. Thank you.